10 Biggest Gimmick Flops in WWE History. Over the years, WWE had invented some great and interesting gimmicks, and with that, the storylines were entertaining as well. My favorite gimmicks were without a doubt Papa Shango, the $1 Million Man, Undertaker, Doink and others. But, just like anything in life, where there's good, there's also bad, and in this video we share with you the biggest gimmick flops in WWE history. Again, that's our own opinion. Maybe you enjoyed and liked those gimmicks, so do not be offended if we thought differently, okay? Here we go. Number 10. Max Moon. The gimmick of Max Moon was played by wrestler Paul Diamond, and it started in the fall of 1992, when he got a brand new gimmick as Maximilian Moon. Max Moon for short. Diamond wasn't originally intended to play Max Moon. The gimmick was created for Conan, but Conan left the WWF after a backstage disagreement. Since Diamond fit the costume, he was chosen to take over the character. The suit was a very elaborate powder blue bodysuit with markings that were supposed to look like a circuit board and white protruding rings around his arms, making him look rather outlandish. The elaborate outfit also came with 2 wrist devices that shot out fireworks and a jetpack that was supposed to make Max Moon look like a man of the future. His biggest victories came against Rick Martel and Repo Man, both by disqualification. During the 1993 Royal Rumble, Max Moon was in the ring less than 2 minutes before being eliminated. Later on, Paul Diamond's contract with the WWF expired and was not renewed. Number 9. Lord Tensai. March 19, 2012. Matt Bloom, who is maybe best known by his former characters, Prince Albert and A-Train, has appeared in a vignette under the new ring name Lord Tensai. He defeated Alex Riley, and in the following weeks, Tensai went on a winning streak, scoring pinfall victories over lower card wrestlers and even main stars including John Cena and CM Punk. After Tensai got rid of his Japanese custom, he began losing much more frequently throughout the rest of 2012, beginning with John Cena ending his winning streak before he also suffered a loss to Sheamus. His losing streak caused Tensai to often vent his frustrations by abusing and attacking Sakamoto, who eventually ceased appearing with Tensai. Later on, Tensai was demoted to a comedy act, with Santino Marella calling him Fat Albert before proceeding to defeat Tensai. All in all, this was a failed WWE experiment and a horrible gimmick for Bloom, who I'll personally remember as Prince Albert and A-Train. Number 8. Eugene. On April 5, 2004, Nicholas David Dinsmore made his WWE debut as Eugene. WWE wrote Eugene as the special and overly excited nephew of Raw general manager Eric Bischoff, who had savant-like wrestling ability from watching his favorites on television. Dinsmore has described his portrayal of Eugene as being inspired by a trainer's autistic child and Dustin Hoffman's performance in the film Rain Man. Eugene had some feuds with Jonathan Coachman, Triple H, his uncle Eric Bischoff, and even won the World Tag Team Championship along with William Regal. It was a bad and silly character, and on September 1, 2007, Nick Dinsmore was released from his WWE contract. Number 7. The Boogeyman. There's only one Boogeyman if you ask me, and that's Papa Shango. But on July 11, 2005, I guess WWE thought it was time for a new yet similar gimmick, as during an episode of Raw, horror movie-style vignettes, WWE began promoting the debut of the Boogeyman gimmick, a horror-themed, disturbing, worm-devouring freak of nature. Boogeyman's first major feud occurred with John Bradshaw Layfield, JBL, and his fixer Jillian Hall, and it began when he stalked the duo throughout a number of shows. During the January 6 episode of SmackDown, he caught a fleeing Hall and shoved worms down the back of her skirt. The Boogeyman faced JBL at the Royal Rumble, winning in under 2 minutes. During his time at WWE, the Boogeyman dumped a bucket of worms on the announce table, kissed Sharmell with a mouthful of worms, and basically had a thing with being and looking scary and liking worms. On March 4, 2009, WWE announced that they had released Wright from his WWE contract. Him and his worms. Number 6. The Spirit Squad. The Spirit Squad was an American professional wrestling stable consisting of Kenny, Mikey, Johnny, Mitch, and Nikki. The team's ring personas were those of an all-male cheerleading squad. Evil Cheerleading Squad. The idea for the Spirit Squad came directly from Chairman Vince McMahon. It could have been funny if you ask me, but ended up pretty lame and not that entertaining as Vince probably thought it would be. The wrestlers were pretty good when it came to in-ring skills, but making them look foolish and so weak against Triple H and Shawn Michaels did not help this gimmick go forward. Most of the members faded into obscurity and only Dolph Ziggler, who was Nicky, went on to succeed in WWE. Number 5. Kerwin White. Kerwin White, who was played by Chavo Guerrero Jr., was a stereotypical, middle-class, white, conservative, Anglo-American man. He dyed his hair blonde and often drove a golf cart to the ring which held his golf clubs. Soon after his debut, White started making suggestive remarks towards African Americans, Hispanics, Asian Americans, Native Americans, and other non-white people, specifically directed towards Shelton Benjamin. On the September 5 episode of Raw, White cost Benjamin a match against Rob Conway. Benjamin defeated White by disqualification the following week when White attacked him with his golf club. At Unforgiven, White was beaten by Benjamin. White then hired Nick Nemeth on the September 26 episode of Raw as his new caddy to help him in his matches. After Eddie Guerrero's death on November 13, 2005, Chavo decided to drop the Kerwin White gimmick and wrestle under his real name as a face, and maybe it was better this way. The gimmick was stupid, offensive, not convincing and did not bring anything new that we didn't see before in WWE or WWF, insults and nothing more. No creativity whatsoever. Thanks, but no thanks. Number 4. The Red Rooster. Terry Taylor signed with the World Wrestling Federation in 1988, and made his initial debut in a house show defeating Tito Santana on July 10, 1988 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Not long later, Taylor acquired Bobby the Brain Heenan as his manager and was rebranded the Red Rooster, a gimmick which saw him don red tights and ring coat and, later as a babyface, style his hair like a rooster's comb and strut like a rooster. Early in his Red Rooster stint, the heel Taylor was described by Heenan as a novice wrestler who could not navigate his way through matches without constant instructions from his manager, despite objections from announcers such as Gorilla Monsoon who would recall him showing considerable promise in matches prior to Heenan's involvement. The Rooster made his pay-per-view debut in the main event of Survivor Series 1988, where he was the first wrestler eliminated from the match. It was a horrible gimmick that had its impact on Taylor as well. He left WWF in June 1990, and the Red Rooster gimmick that he had used has left a long-lasting very negative effect on Taylor's career. Taylor never did manage to get his wrestling career back on track and eventually wound down his in-ring duties to work backstage. Number 3. Isaac Yankem. Glenn Jacobs is best known as Kane, but before his days as Kane, Undertaker's brother, he was Isaac Yankem, DDS, an evil and sadistic doctor of dental surgery. Yankem first appeared on television on the June 26, 1995 episode of Raw as Jerry Lawler's private dentist. The emphasis was on Jacobs' imposing height and weight, and Yankem was portrayed as a monstrous figure whom Lawler had hired for the purpose of ridding the WWF of his longtime nemesis, Bret Hart. After his initial run with Hart, Jacobs was part of an unsuccessful team in an elimination match at November's Survivor Series and participated in the 1996 Royal Rumble match in January. The remainder of Yankem's televised run through April included losses to The Undertaker, Jake Roberts, Mark Merrow, and The Ultimate Warrior. The angle of Yankem was soon dropped, and Jacobs was allowed to move on to bigger, better things, such as Kane. It seems that sometimes, WWE is able to learn from their mistakes. But this list is not over yet. Number 2. Mama Benjamin. In 2006, wrestler Shelton Benjamin was assigned a new manager, his mother, Mrs. Benjamin or Mama Benjamin. Now, it's a good thing that a mother wants to take care of her son. It's a whole different thing when she's doing when her son is an adult, buffed, a wrestler, and accompanies him anywhere he goes. Of course Mama Benjamin wasn't Shelton's real mother, but an actress by the name of Thea Vidal. The gimmick wasn't successful and nothing more than a bit amusing at times. After this gimmick was over, Benjamin dropped to lower mid-card matches, where he belonged all this time. Number 1. Sexual Chocolate Mark Henry. I still can't understand what went through the minds of WWE's creative team when they thought to themselves, hey, let's take a huge guy like Mark Henry, call him sexy and make him fall in love with Mae Young? If that's not enough, in this bizarre storyline, Young got pregnant from Henry, and don't ask me how or why it's possible, only to give birth to, again, don't ask, a hand, while smoking a cigar. You can be sure this was Vince's sick mind in action, and just thinking of it makes me nausea. Thankfully enough, Henry managed to rebound from this catastrophe of a gimmick and storyline, and had a respectable career as a world title contender. What do you think is the worst WWE gimmick to this day? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed our video, please like it and subscribe to support our channel, we really appreciate it. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified when we upload new videos to our channel. Have an amazing day.